Hey gang, it's John, and back with another version of What's Blank Wednesday, and today we are doing What's Trekking Pole Wednesday. I'm out in Luton Park in northern Kent County. It's a beautiful May afternoon, and I thought I'd come out for a stroll, and every time I'm on the trail I like to take a set of walking poles with me, especially for longer distance hikes, as I find that they've got three very distinct advantages. One, they make you walk more efficiently, so you're going to save energy and make you be able to walk farther with the same energy or walk faster in a shorter period of time. Trekking poles also distribute the energy across 4 points as opposed to 2, which takes up a lot of shock through the upper body and saves on the joints of like your knees and your hips and whatnot. So overall it makes you be able to walk more comfortably, and especially if you have knee or back or hip pain, you'll find that these make you feel better. And finally, they're very good for balance. Luton doesn't have a lot of technical trails, but if you're walking someplace that has a lot of ups and downs, you're going to find that trekking poles allow you, especially on the downhill, to give you a better fixed point to keep you from feeling so tippy or unbalanced. So the next time that you're out looking to do a longer walk, you might consider carrying a couple of these with you. Generally they are sold in pairs. And how do you use a trekking pole? Well, first and foremost, when you buy them, they're going to come with a rubber cap on the bottom here, so make sure you take that off and expose that carbide tip so that you get good contact with the ground. For those of you that might be walking indoors or walking places where there's boardwalks, we'll show this in a little bit, but there are rubber tips that go over the front of these that keep them from sticking into the gaps on a boardwalk or allow you to walk inside like a mall or something like that, so you can use these other places than just out on a hiking trail. The next is adjusting the length for a trekking pole. So from a fairly neutral standpoint, you would like to have this so that your elbow is at a 90-degree angle. A lot of these are graduated, so once you figure out where that distance is, you can mark that or remember that number. If you are doing a lot of uphill hiking, you might shorten these as the poles are going to hit ahead of you, and if you're going downhill for long distances, you may extend them, which is why having that adjustability is so nice. And third, how do you put your hands in the straps? Do not come from the top down and rely on a grip around the handle. That is the wrong way to carry these. You want to take your hands and put them in from the bottom so that your hand is resting on the crux of the strap, and then you can grab the grip if you want, but by having the hand over the strap, you don't have to hold on as hard, and that's going to allow your fingers to feel better and have better blood flow. You're also going to be in a better position if you happen to fall with these. You're not going to break your thumb. The other way, there's a lot of risk to having your thumb on that handle. And then finally, how do you use them while you're walking? Well, it's rhythmic, and you will plant the pole to the heel of the opposite foot. So you want to make sure that that pole is actually at a back angle a little bit. So you're not walking with these ahead of you like so. You're going to plant that down by the heel of the foot, heel of the other foot. And as soon as you do this a few times, it gets rather rhythmic. And that's pretty much all there is to it. We're going to head on over. I brought a few samples of some different poles. We're going to talk about some of the difference you might find when you're out looking at these things. So come on over this way. Alright, so when you stop in the store, if you check out BillandPauls.com and shop trekking poles there, you can see we have quite a few different poles to choose from. And what are some of those differences? Well, the very first thing you'll probably notice is the price. A pair of trekking poles start at about $45, such as this pair here from Kelty, and run up to north of $200. We've got the Carbon C3 from Compradel. What changes as you move up in price? Well, the very most noticeable thing is weight. These are considerably heavier, so the more you use these, the more comfortable a lighter pair will be. Some of it is the adjustment technology. I talked about getting that adjustment set. Less expensive poles use a little different technology. It's called a expander, and these do tend to wear out and have to be replaced from time to time. They also, if you overturn them, you're going to find your pole comes apart. For years and years, expanders were the way to go. They're not bad. They're just older technology, and there's better stuff out there now, and I'll show that in a minute. And then finally, the material that your pole is made out of, the quality of the aluminum shaft or the carbon is going to change as you move up in price. So this is a relatively inexpensive aluminum. These are great for those of you who are not sure if you're going to use these, or maybe you're taking one trip that might require the poles to be brought with you. The beautiful thing about being able to adjust them is that they are relatively packable, so you can collapse them before you travel with them. The pair I'm using today is about $100, and first thing you would notice is that this is at least a third of the weight of that other pole, and it uses the new adjustment technology, which is the flick lock. Basically, you set the tension and you're able to simply by using your thumb open and close. So these are a lot more secure and much easier to play around with the adjustment. By using a higher grade of aluminum, they're able to use less of it, and so the shafts are narrower. And we've also graduated to the cork grip, which I find is a very natural feel in the hand. It's also a contoured handle, so that's what you get when you step up. At $100, this is one of the nicer overall pole price points. You get a lot of pole for the money here. I mentioned this Comperdel carbon pole. Man, is this thing light. I wish you guys could feel this. It's also quite pretty. Not that that's a big deal when you're out in the woods. A feature on this pole that you'll see in a few others as well is they've extended this grip down farther. So if you do hit those areas where you go up and down and change quite a bit, instead of adjusting the pole, you can simply bring your hand down farther on the pole and have something to hold on to that your hand's not going to slip around for. So you'll see several models that might have that extended grip on it. It does make the pole a tad bit heavier, but it's a more functional pole in elevation change situations. For those of you that might be traveling extensively, maybe you travel for work and you like to walk after a long day in the office, or you're on a tour overseas, there are packable poles, collapsible poles. These are going to be super small, three-piece construction. They're not going to be quite as durable. For those of you that are using these with a backpacking situation, you probably wouldn't necessarily go this route unless size was of an issue. But they're super handy in terms of getting it into a small pack or a back suitcase or that type of situation. So a couple of great options out there in a couple different categories. I mentioned earlier that if you're going to be traveling where there's boardwalks and or you're indoors and you want to cover that protective tip, this is a tip protector. And then these poles are quite versatile. You can not use them just in the summertime, but good for winter walking, snowshoeing. Simply come in and find the appropriate replacement basket, but they've got baskets in different sizes. So I brought the winter basket because we're here in Michigan, and it's very possible that somebody would want to snowshoe at Luton in January or February, and so they need a set of winter snow baskets for those poles. So that's a breakdown of modern trekking poles. I'm still a fan of when I'm out in the woods, and I might not have remembered those. The good old stick. There's just something about holding on to, like I mentioned, having something for balance. These are abundant and can be recycled easily. So, you know, if you're out there without a fancy trekking pole, don't feel bad. Find your favorite stick of popple, beech, oak, or whatever, and head on down the trail, because it's a great time of year to get out and start exploring our parks and trails. So until next What's Blank Wednesday, it's John, and we'll see you later.